Comes in a simple small box. Let's get it open. And right on top, we'll find the user's manual. And then you'll see here that it's pretty easy to remove the lightweight toaster. It's less than 2 pounds, so really easy to pick up with one hand. You can take out this plug right here. You'll find a polarized tip on it, so if it's ever not going into the wall correctly, just flip it around. It's supposed to go in the other way. Let's remove this plastic here, and we'll see that we'll find that the cord itself to the plug is actually quite short. Now, they designed it like that on purpose. They wanted to make sure that these things stayed safe and that there wasn't a long cord attached to it with the possibility of getting like tripped over or pulled out. So you'll also see on the bottom right here that it does have a crumb tray. There's a little fastener right here that you just squeeze to open up like that, and you can let out your crumbs like that. Flipping it over and looking at all of the features on it, you'll see that it has the pop-up feature right here that will click down when it's actually plugged in. And you'll see that it has a pretty simple dial right here that starts on cancel. If you flick it to cancel, it'll stop at any time while you're using it. 1 to 2 will give you the low settings, 3 to 4 the medium settings, 5 to 6 the dark settings, and then 7 we'll have to see what that actually does to our bagels and waffles and bread. So looking at the specs right here, this is a 750 watt toaster, and on the bottom it has these hooks that you can use to store away your cord like so. And then you can just set it back like this, and the cord will be stowed away underneath. It's roughly 5 1/4 inch wide. It's 8 5/8 inches long, 9 1/2 if you consider the pop-up levers extension. At the base, you'll find that it's about 9 inches long. In terms of height, you'll see it's just under 6 1/2 inches. The openings to the slots are roughly 1 1/4 inch. So before you use it, they instruct you to clean it off with a dampened, soapy rag and then dry it off completely before plugging it in and using it again. So I've done that, and now we're gonna give it a test with my food over here. I've got some bagels, I've got some bread, and I've got some frozen waffles. We're gonna see how well they do in this toaster. But before we do that, I'm going to let it cook for a cycle on its hottest setting so that it can burn off if there's any chemicals or anything on it, and I'll tell you if there's any kind of smell or any smoke or anything like that. So here we go. So there's definitely a bit of a smell coming off to it. It's not terribly noxious, but I really don't like it right now, and I hope that it fades soon. And this is probably something you want to do with any toaster, just because those heating coils get covered with certain chemicals and compounds that you just want to get rid of before you actually start cooking food inside of it. And as it's getting hotter, it's definitely getting a little bit stinkier. I'm glad I didn't put any food in it in this first go. So I'm gonna let this cool down before I put the food in. Okay, let's start off by toasting the bread. And we'll do this on, let's say, the second setting in the low, and we'll see how well they toast. Now from my perspective, it looks like there's only heating coils on the outside layer of these slots. So let's see what happened there. Okay, so the number 2 low setting left them completely untoasted. Let's set it a little bit higher. Let's go up to 3 1/2. And these are really thin pieces of bread too, so you'd think that maybe they would toast a little bit there. It's cool enough to touch through here while it's cooking, depending on the setting, I guess. If it gets up to the number 7 setting, that's when it's really hot, but like on the setting 2 and 3 1/2 here, it's okay to touch, I think. Okay, on the 3 1/2 setting, there we go. Now they're a little bit toasted. Now let's do the bagels on 4, because I really don't want them to darken and I probably want to eat them. So you can see how you can raise it up to get anything out there that you need. So on the number 4 setting, okay, it toasted those bagels pretty good, and man, those are hot, ouch. Okay, now we're gonna do the waffles, and we're gonna see if we can actually maybe try to burn them on 5 1/2. Let's see what happens at that setting. So at the 5 1/2 setting, you can see the waffles have burnt a little bit, just like I thought they would. They're supposed to darken at that setting. And you can see it's a bit uneven. One side got a lot more toasty than the other side. After cooking all 3 of those, it's definitely pretty hot. It's hottest up here. I would say in these corners right here, it's definitely the hottest. Through here, it is the coolest. I can actually pick it up and touch it right there, but right here, I wouldn't want to hold it for too long. That gets a little toasty. And as for over here on the sides, definitely hotter in the back than what it is in the front. The push-up lever is not hot. That's not hot. underneath. The feet aren't hot, but I would not touch the crumb tray. But you can hold it underneath a little bit and it's not hot so much along the edges. That's okay, as you can see. Now let's just wait and see how long it actually takes to cool down. It's actually already cooling down considerably in just like a minute now. And it certainly took about 3 or 4 minutes, but now it's perfectly back to being really cool again. There's only a slight bit of warmth around it, but I'd say within 3 minutes, probably as long as it takes to cool down. So it's a perfectly simple toaster that's gonna make you some simple foods, and it's gonna be good for anybody who doesn't mind just having a 2-slice toaster that doesn't necessarily cook evenly on both sides, but will still work and do better than, say, like what I had, which was an old toaster that was barely toasting anything. So if there are any negatives to it, I definitely don't like the crumb tray fastener. I think they could have used some kind of mechanism that's less flimsy than this. I also think that they probably shouldn't have called it Cool Touch if only part of it is Cool Touch, but it does have a 1-year limited warranty on it, so I appreciate that if anything does break, I could always just get it replaced. For now though, it seems just fine.